almost like we're running away from the self. But the self is the key to all of it.
Yeah.
For you to be of value of anyone, for you to be like a loving and nurturing person in your relationship, for you to be efficient at your job and bring value to your clients, you have to have that inner peace. And
Right.
another thing about you know the inner peace, people think of peace as a state of stagnation. Like peace is like, okay, you're just sitting around and nothing is happening. But that's not the case at all. If
Hmm.
you go back in history, right, you read stories about the empires, the great empires, all those epochs of different, the great empires, the Roman Empire, all the African empires. The growth happens during periods of peace. Prosperity happens during periods of peace. And then the empire will rise up, right? And then they start to decline. And that decline is usually triggered by periods of conflict.
Yeah.
Every empire in history have the exact same cycle. There's a whole science or a whole theory around that. Every single empire in history has the same cycle. They
Hmm.
start, they're first of all, it's all born out of conflict, right? A shift of leadership or whatever.
Hmm.
And then it progressively reaches its peak. And that peak is when they have peace. They prosper, commerce is great, technology is advancing, their education is great. All that stuff happens during periods of peace. And then another conflict arises, and that causes the decline. So if you yourself, you are odd with yourself, you have some sort of internal conflict, you cannot prosper. That's bottom line. Prosperity does not happen during conflict. It may happen as a result of conflict, but for you to reach that stage of prosperity, you have to have that inner peace.
Hmm.
That's where growth happens, right? So when we go and we're trying to help people connect with themselves and find that inner peace, it's not that you're just done and you're just going to be sitting there and listening to meditation music all day long. This means that now you have the energy to build, you have the energy to grow and progress. You have the energy to have the impact you want to have on people, because the most excitement you feel about yourself, the more of that energy, that good and positive energy you have to do pretty much anything that you want in life. Because everything that comes from within speaks to you. We're so used to receiving information from the outside and feedback from the outside that every time we get an opportunity for something to come from within, that's where we find the real value, because in a way it allows you a form of self-expression. So you become your own work of art, per se. And if you know anything about it, you're an artist yourself, you find a greater sense of satisfaction when it's this is my work, this is my heart, this is my soul, right? So it's always good to allow people to bring something out from within. And it takes courage. One thing I have to mention, it takes courage to look inward. It takes courage to put the mirror in front of yourself. And over the years, whatever happened, now you get to finally look at yourself. This is what I've become. It takes courage. So just for that alone, like I admire that you were willing to give an opportunity to kind of have these discussions with you. And, it looks like
Yeah.
it kind of triggered something in you and kind of served as a catalyst for other things. So I'm happy to see that.